You are alone.
Alright, welcome back again to the Recon, but today isn't like a normal episode. Today's actually a season overview. I haven't really given any explanation into what a series overview is, so allow me to do that. Basically, every 5 episodes I'm going to count as a season of the Recon, and then at the end of that season, I will make an overview video, which will basically go into detail about what we drank, how I felt about it, and try and give any final thoughts or any changes that I need to make to the grading of said root beer before finalizing the grade in the proverbial book. Now, with that being said, there's 2 things I need to address today. Number 1, obviously, is the overview of the season, which the first season, I will admit, it's only 3 episodes, which is short, but it's because I want to make a somewhat major change to the grading. I know I already did that once, but hear me out. I am going to make a minor change, I am going to make a moderate change to the grading, and I do want to address that before we continue. That change being that I'm going to adjust the way that the grades look and what exactly I'm grading. The way I have it is I'm grading 3 categories: flavor, versatility, and carbonation. I don't think the grade was actually representing how I felt. It was either too high or it was too low. Most of the time it was too low. So I thought, what is a better way of grading that's more simple and more accurate to how I feel? And then it hit me. Out of 10. While I keep in mind things like versatility, carbonation, availability, etc., I just kind of use that information, I use what I feel about it as more of a means to affect the grade and not as an actual numerical grade for each individual category. More so just my thoughts collecting in my head and then, grade. And that's how it's going to be from now on. So instead of an 80 out of 100, it's going to be an 8 out of 10. And instead of that 8 out of 10 coming out of an average between 3 categories, it's just going to be me thinking of all the categories, how I felt about it regarding that root beer, and just making a grade. Oh, yeah, another thing. This does not mean I am rebooting the series or that any of the previous 3 episodes are invalid in any way. No. The only time I did that before is because the grading scale and overall the consistency of those videos prior to the ones that are considered, canon, they were all shit. They were all over the place. The grading scale was changing all the time. And I didn't feel like it represented the brands in the way that they should be represented. So I decided, scrap those episodes, decanonize them, and start from scratch. And so that's what I did. But that is not what I'm doing this time. This time I'm simply translating the grades over, making some minor adjustments to the grades, but overall, the grades that you see in this video for the previous 3 episodes, which were the first 3 episodes of the canon series, are the same. The opinion I had of those root beer brands in those videos have not changed whatsoever at all. And the grades, if anything, have only changed a little bit just to kind of fit the format better. With that being said, let's get to the grades. In the first episode, we reviewed Market District, and it was off to a pretty mediocre start. Like I said in my review, the flavor was overall very weak. It was light, not in a good way, but in a lack of flavor way. It didn't have that much going for it, and mainly that was because it was way too sweet. The sweetness level was to the point where it almost felt like a regular soda and not like a root beer. And it was taken away from the flavor. The bite it had was very weak. It overall was just a very underperforming root beer. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
I disagree. Because...
Next up was Triple X Root Beer. Now this one was considerably better than Market District in the way where it tasted better, had more bite to it. The flavor itself was more authentic. It was good. But it still was slightly too sweet, and the flavor was a bit light. And it could have been a lot better. And for that reason, I'm only going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Insert cash or select payment type.
And then third of all was BJ's. I love BJ's. BJ's was superb. It was really good. However, initially, I gave it a 20 out of 20 in flavor, which was completely ridiculous because that entails that it is perfect. It could not be any better physically in flavor, and it can only be matched. That's not true. Despite it being the best root beer I've personally ever had, I highly doubt that it's the best root beer out there. So for that reason, it's going to receive a 9 out of 10 overall. But with that being said, it was still phenomenal. And thus concludes the first edition, the ending of the first season of the Root Beer Recon. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.